Presence of the Past, Morphic Resonance and the Habits of Nature by Rupert Sheldrake, we find an image of the Church of Mechanics, the modern day dogma and doctrine of scientific society. This can be found in Rupert Sheldrake's The Presence of the Past. On page 483 to 484, quote, "In the early 19th century, physicists like Pierre-Simon Laplace tried to get rid of any kind of creation story by assuming that the universe was eternal, that there had always been the same amount of matter and energy as there is today, and the laws that govern it were changeless. Laplace and his fellow atheists regarded God as an unnecessary hypothesis, but they still needed a free-floating, transcendent mind as the source of the universal mathematical order. By contrast, deists thought that God was an intelligent creator whose transcendent mathematical mind sustained the mechanical order of things, but who did not intervene in his creation, unlike the God of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Both atheists and deists agreed that the universe worked entirely mechanically. Darwin and Wallace's theory of natural selection throws biological evolution into a mechanical universe. In the 1930s and 1940s, neo-Darwinians fitted their theory of genetic evolution into a universe that was still mechanical. Neo-Darwinism remains the orthodoxy of biology and still takes non-evolutionary physics for granted. However, biological evolution is no longer an exception to the rest of nature. It is part of an evolutionary universe. The hypothesis of formative causation, unlike the mechanistic theory, is based on the idea that all nature is evolutionary." End quote. Now let us take a look at a subject that is relative to the current indoctrination system of today, mainly the symbol of the sun. The rising sun represents life, and the setting sun represents death. These sun symbols, rising from the Roman and Greek pantheon, can be found in many quadrants of modern society and presents a different viewpoint when looking at the heliocentric model of modern science. These sun symbols can be found everywhere, from the Olympic torch to the torch of the Statue of Liberty, with Greek and Roman symbolism found everywhere across university campuses. The figure of Apollo and the sun god take a central role, especially when looking at the Apollo Global Management Company and Apollo Education Group. Headed by a dear friend of a certain Jeffrey, a certain black lion is no longer at the head. However, the relation of Rome to all upper levels of modern society can be found with relations to cardinals. A certain cardinal of El Salvador is related to a certain dictator of Venezuela, where also a certain cardinal is related to a certain former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And the current president of Grand Canyon University, who once was the CEO of Apollo Education Group. Then we find two senators, one with a grant program named after him, related to another cardinal. This is no new theme, as in the 17th century, the confessor to Louis XIV of France was a Jesuit, but Louis was preceded by Jules Mazarin as head of the state. In the Holy Roman Empire, certain Tournemont was the confessor to the Holy Roman Emperor, and in Spain, Nithard fled to Rome after his matriarch, the Empress Mariana Habsburg, was expelled from the country.